good afternoon. Okay, sekejap Satu. Okay, alright, we are going to continue for our chapter 5, pH and acidity. But before we continue, there will be an important announcement for you because this one is relating to your test 1 for FST202. I will forward this message to you in the group so that you are aware and take note for this particular planning of your test 1. But just for your information, okay, your test 1 will be conducted on week 8. Alright, it's in between 8 to 9 December, and the method of your, the platform for you to answer your test 1 will be via UFuture. Alright, so the question will be MCQ test, okay, a multiple choice question. No, actually it's a multiple choice answer. Alright, and the jumlah soalan is a 40 question. Okay, the chapter that involved for this particular test 1 will be from chapter 1 until chapter 4. Okay, so chapter 1, it start off with, sekejap I share my screen. Okay, so for chapter 1, we have the introduction. Chapter 1, then you have the chapter 2 for quality control and traceability for food supply chain. Then chapter 3 will be sampling plan and techniques. And then chapter 4 is defects in food. So your test 1 will cover from chapter 1 until chapter 4. Alright, and then the question, it will give you 40 marks, but then percentage that it will carry is for 20% of your total percentage to be carried out for your final exam. Alright, and then it will be start off from 8th of December, starting from midnight, 12 midnight until 9 December midnight as well. Alright, and your time to answer for this particular question will be only 1 hour via UFuture. So this one, nanti I akan tambah juga if let's say you have any problem. I'm not sure how many attempts that they are going to allow the students to answer your question. Normally, if under AD, normally you will have 2 attempts, but only under condition that you have problem with your internet line. So I think maybe the penyedia soalan, she set the time starting from midnight so that during that time there will be less traffic for you if let's say you want to answer the question. So if let's say you want to answer at 6 a.m, then it is still possible, but then of course once you already start to answer your question, your time has been counted for 1 hour. So your time to answer is only 1 hour, within 1 hour. Okay, so that one I will blast in the group later because there are a few 1 to 2 questions that I need to refer to the penyedia soalan. But before that, do you have any question for your test 1 or your previous chapters?
Madam, I have question untuk assessment. Kita orang kena buat video kan? Video yang untuk ISO atau video for assessment.
This one kan?
Sekejap.
Yang I tunjuk ni kan? Tengok dekat my screen. Is it this one?
Yes, video presentation tu. Macam mana dia punya guideline? I mean, bila kita boleh start?
Week 11. Bila kita boleh start tu, what do you mean by bila kita boleh start?
Sebab kita orang kena submit week 11 ke? Sebab I list out kan dia kata week 14. Dia punya due submission bila? Actually.
Week 11.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Saya salah list up kan sebab hari tu saya list up kan. And it says that week 14 masa I refer to the document.
Oh, dokumen mana
Yang
tak
ada bagi dalam Google Classroom.
Is it?
Yes.
Sebab I rasa I bagi yang ini je. I ada bagi yang dalam Word Is it?
Dalam Word I'm not sure. Tapi ada dalam Google Classroom.
Google Classroom. Okay. Tak apa. Take this one first as week 11 first. Prepare dulu. But if let's say there is any changes, I will let you know.
Okay.
Sebab dah ada contradicting information nanti kan. So please remind me as well. Okay. Alright. So test 1. This one. Ni lah refer balik to this slide for assessment. So chapter 1, 2, 3, 4 that one will be covered for your test 1. You tak ada test 2 tapi you ada assignment video presentation. So please prepare and then you all punya lab report 5C2 kejap boleh saya tahu tak you all punya siapa you all punya lecturer untuk apa lab
Miss Siti Hafsah.
Siapa?
Siti Hafsah.
5C2, Hafsah. Sekejap I tulis sekejap. Mana tu? FST202, 5C2, Siti Hafsah. 5D1? 5D1, may I know who is your lecturer who is in charge for your lab session?
Miss Khadijah.
Siti Khadijah?
Miss Khadijah.
Khadijah, oh dia tak ada Siti, sorry. Sebab nanti I nak kena compile markah you all. Ni untuk lab. Still lab session. Okay. Ada soalan lagi tak? Sebab nanti you all
Ada.
Apa dia?
Apa ni untuk yang video assignment tu kan? Madam prefer kita orang pilih topik sendiri atau do you want to bagi?
Macam mana?
Kan dalam untuk assignment tu kita orang kena pilih antara topik GMP, HACCP, HACCP ataupun ISO kan. Yang tu madam nak bagi ataupun nak kita orang pilih. Madam tak kisah kalau macam
dia you all kena pilih either of these three main topics. GMP, HACCP ataupun ISO. And when you are contoh if let's say you are selecting for GMP then you need to cover for the whole part of GMP.
Okay, faham. So basically video assignment ni dia macam explain details on the punya topik
Sort of like that because it's not like macam contoh GMP you pilih satu subtopic then you discuss on that. No, it should be GMP tu dia cover for which part, which area. Because for GMP is the foundation untuk HACCP. If you don't have a foundation, then how can you start for HACCP? So when you are covering for GMP, it should be comprehensive for that particular GMP. Bukan you pilih satu topik. Macam contoh HACCP, you nak pilih yang number 1 je. Tak boleh. Critical point number 1. No, tak boleh. You need to explain all the 7 steps of HACCP. Sama jugalah macam ISO if let's say you are selecting for ISO, make sure that you are selecting the ISO that is meant for food industry. Jangan pula you pergi ambil ISO number yang untuk kilang tisu ke, kilang kertas ke, because that one is different different industry they will have their different serial number for the ISO. Okay?
Okay, madam.
Okay, ada soalan lagi tak? Sebab kelas hari ni pun insyaAllah very short je, tapi I nak make sure you all understand how to calculate this particular calculation.
Madam,
yes.
kawan saya nak masuk.
Tak boleh. Lambat. Oh, ni yang selalu masuk ngam-ngam pukul 12 ni. Okay, so habis dah regarding your test 1. Nanti I will blast the message. Okay, so we are going to continue for our calculation. So I hope you have your calculator with you ataupun tak kisahlah your handphone ke, anything that can do with simple calculation, because this one just a matter of budak darjah 3 pun boleh settle this particular problem. Tapi bukanlah maksudnya you just need a very simple calculator. Alright, so for last Monday, we have covered for total titratable acidity. Betul kan? Okay, and this one I have mentioned to you before for the expression of total titratable acidity, we can express in 3 bases. Okay, maksudnya kita boleh bagi jawapan tu dalam keadaan 3 perkara, 3 method, but of course you need to relate back to the question. Okay, jangan macam question suruh you kira in grams of acid tapi you bagi jawapan in milliliter. That is wrong lah. Okay, but then this one, if let's say later if you join food industry, then you want to express your total acidity, it can be any of these three, but of course you should be able to explain why you select this type of basis. Okay, so the first one, this one I just a matter of refreshing for your previous lecture. So the first one is a milliliter of 0.1 normal NaOH, and again this one 0.1 normal NaOH. This one is the concentration of sodium hydroxide that is normally used to neutralize the acidity. Okay, for per 100 ml of sample, and then kita ada grammage of acid in sample aliquot as well as percentage. So 1 in volume, 2 in grammage, berat, 3 in percentage. Okay, ni equation ni I dah bagi dekat you all. Kita dah cover this one. Equation untuk milliliter of 0.1 normal NaOH per 100 ml of sample. And then kita ada grammage of acid in a sample aliquot. Then we have the percentage of acid in sample aliquot. Okay, in previous, I do not know, in previous 2 years, how the pattern of the question, I do not know. But normally, soalan akan keluar untuk calculation macam ni sebab it's a bit harder compared to the other 2 expression of answer. Not that hard, but a bit harder. Okay, so this percentage of acid, okay, it involves with Z. Z is the percentage of acid. Okay, masa you tulis tu, jangan terus tulis contoh tapi you all bukannya tulis pun, you all just jawab je ABC. Tak apalah, this one just information je. So Z ni, whenever you want to write, that one will be involving with the item yang you nak bagi tahu kepada reader what you are going to calculate. Okay, so Z is the percentage of acid in aliquot. Okay, and then V stands for the volume of the 0.1 normal NaOH that is being used to titrate to neutralize the acid. And this one is normality, so kebiasaannya 0.1 normal. Kalau you pakai 0.5, of course you need to change to 0.5. Milli equivalent weight, this one normally will be given in your question statements, or you can refer to the table. Okay, and then divide by Y. Y is the volume. Either you select, either you pakai volume in milliliter or weight in gram of the sample. Okay, then and since we want to express this answer in percentage, so of course it needs to be times by 100. Okay, so this particular sekejap, ada orang nak masuk This particular table will be the value will be given to you. So you tak perlu ingat lah this one tak perlu nak memorize. Kalau saya kata tak perlu memorize, tak perlulah. This one you can refer to, if let's say later masa you kerja you nak refer, then you have your table ready here. But then normally particular acid milli equivalent factor, this one will be given. But the value yang given tu, you kena faham why the value is given in such manner. Okay, so we go for the example. This one very simple example. The last 2 example tu yang I nak you faham why the value is in that is given in such manner. Okay, so this one is the first example, calculate the total acid for the orange juice. Okay, orange juice. Orange juice apa dia punya predominant acid? Alright, so normally will be citric acid. Walaupun katalah dalam orange juice tu ada contoh malic acid ke ataupun different type of other natural acid, tapi we always go for predominant acid. So for orange juice, we always expect orange is citrus. Citrus ada citric acid. And expressed in 3 different bases with the following information. So the first one given, the information given, the volume of sample being used is 10 milliliter, okay, and then volume of sodium hydroxide that is being used to neutralize the acidity is 13.22 milliliter. Okay, this one is very accurate. Kalau dalam you all punya lab, biasanya you can only go up until 13.2 saja. So this one probably it is being done by electronic devices. Alright, and then normality of sodium hydroxide is 0.1 normal. Okay. So ada 3 different bases tadi kan. Mula volume dan grammage followed by percentage. So we go by one. Okay, so untuk milliliter, okay, this one A, very straightforward. 100 ni memang dah given because per 100 ml of orange juice times by 13.22. 13.22 is the volume untuk sodium hydroxide being titrated. Okay, and then divide by 10. 10 is the volume of your sample that is being used untuk you nak conduct the titration. So the answer, yang ni tekan calculator je So tengok dia dekat sini A equals to berapa. Okay, A equals to 132.2 milliliter. The unit is in milliliter sebab yang first expression is for volume. Okay, bukan liter. If you want to change to liter, then of course you can convert the unit. Unit conversion dah belajar kan untuk you all punya food engineering dengan unit operation. Okay, and then for second expression, this one dalam bentuk weight, grammage. Okay, so for grammage of acid, okay, kita ada W is the weight. Okay, it stands for the weight, the grammage. So the volume of the sodium hydroxide titrated tadi dah diberi 13.22 dekat sini. Okay, times by 0.1. This one is the equation that is already given, tapi katakanlah nanti soalan bagi dekat you kena calculate the grammage of acid. You kena tahu formula, the equation how to calculate. Okay, tapi yang untuk value formula equivalent factor tu tak perlu ingat. Tapi equation macam mana nak kira kena tahu. Alright, so 0.1 normal of NaOH times by 0.064 ini apa? Ini adalah milli equivalent factor for the acid, citric acid. Betul kan? This one, 0.064. Okay, so the answer is 0.0846 of acid, citric acid. So this one is the grammage of citric acid that present in the orange juice. Okay? Alright, and then the third expression, this one will be the percentage of acid in a sample aliquot of orange juice. Alright, and it is the represented by Z. The value of Z is 13.22, which is the volume of sodium hydroxide being used to neutralize the acidity, times by 0.1, this one is normality of sodium hydroxide, times by milli equivalent factor for citric acid, jangan silap ambil value, okay, 0.064 is meant for citric acid, divide by the volume of your orange juice that you use untuk nak titration. So that is 10 milliliter. Since we want to express in percentage, so you need to times by 100. Okay, nampak daripada yang atas yang tadi, okay, sebenarnya you boleh dapat dalam bentuk percentage. So the answer is 0.846%. Alright, so yang ini tak ada masalah. Okay, sebab this one very clear cut. You boleh tengok juga dekat dalam table ni. Kan kita tengok dekat sini citric acid, dia punya milli equivalent factor is 0.064. Okay, very clear cut. Sama, tak ada masalah. Okay, yang jadi masalahnya agak bermasalah dekat sini adalah this particular 2 question. Question this one and this particular question. Okay, question 2, question 3. For the vinegar and for the isotonic drink. Okay. Saya nak start dulu dengan vinegar sebab isotonic drink tu you will understand when I explain for vinegar first, then when we go back to the contoh untuk isotonic drink tu, then you will have a better understanding. Okay, so soalan ni selalu sebelum ni memang soalan ni macam famous lah, tapi sekarang ni I tak tahulah in recent question papers I'm not sure. Okay, for this particular question, in the determination of titratable acidity of a vinegar, the following data were obtained. Okay, so we have the titration of sodium hydroxide. Maksudnya this one is the volume of sodium hydroxide that is being used in order to neutralize the acidity of vinegar. Okay, so the volume is 42 milliliter. Okay, and then weight of vinegar that is being used is only 3.5 gram. Okay, alright. Now the explanation. Okay, ini adalah information yang diberi kepada kamu. So nanti selepas tu there will be a following of simple explanation and question for you to calculate this particular question. Okay, so if 1 ml of 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide is equivalent to, okay, tengok value ni. 0.006 gram of acetic acid. Calculate the percentage of acidity for the vinegar. Okay, nampak You dah diberi information, volume of sodium hydroxide, information weight of vinegar. Okay, and then dalam explanation of your question, diberi if let's say 1 milliliter of 0.1 normal NaOH is equivalent to 0.006 gram of acetic acid, calculate the percentage of acidity in the vinegar. Okay, kita stop dekat sini dulu. Alright, yang kat bawah ni nanti kemudian yang explanation tu. Okay, tengok balik ayat ni 1 ml of 0.1 normal NaOH equivalent to 0.006 gram of acetic acid. Kalau kamu rujuk, if you refer to your slide, okay, the calculation for this acidity, equation dia is given like this, betul tak? V times by N, volume of sodium hydroxide, times by normality of sodium hydroxide, times by milli equivalent factor of acetic acid. Okay, divide by Y times by 100. Okay, kalau kamu tengok dalam kamu punya slide, the working calculation is simply 42 milliliter, 42 is the volume, okay, times by 0.006 gram, milli equivalent factor. Kenapa tak ada calculation untuk normality?
Sebab dia dah
Did
bagi.
you notice this one?
Normality
Sebab dia dah bagi.
Sebab usually normality memang 0.1 kot.
Macam mana? Dia dah bagi
Tak.
apa?
Dia dah bagi dia punya normality.
Okey, ni dia dah bagi. Tapi kenapa kita tak times by normality? Kenapa dekat dalam step yang kedua ni, working calculation, normality tu tak ada?
Sebab dia 0.1 kot.
Tapi kalau yang soalan macam ni, tengok soalan yang macam ni kena times by 0.1.
Tak tahu madam.
Nampak tak? Sebab dia dah bagi. Okay, ini yang, this one is tricky. Okay, now refer back to your question for this particular vinegar, titration vinegar. Okay, diberi for every 1 ml of sodium hydroxide with 0.1 normality of sodium hydroxide, it is already given as 0.0060 of acetic acid. Okay, this one is 0.1 normal. Now, kita rujuk balik, we refer to the table for milli equivalent factor. Okay, vinegar tadi apa? Acetic acid. Acetic acid. Sepatutnya milli equivalent factor dia berapa? 0.06. This one is meant for 1 normal of NaOH. Okay, cuba you tolong tekan kalkulator you ke ataupun dalam kepala you if you terror mathematics. If 0.06 you times by 0.1, what will be the answer that you get?
0.006.
0 kejap saya tulis kat sini 0 titik sorry I tak ada pen. 0.6 times by 0.1. Think 0.1. So nampak tak jawapan dia is equivalent to 0. Sorry lambat sikit. 0.06. Betul tak?
Betul.
Okay, so remember yang ini acid Milli equivalent factor. This one is meant for 1 normal of NaOH. Okay, dalam soalan untuk vinegar, it is already calculated for you untuk 0.1 normal NaOH. Okay, for 0.1 normal NaOH, the Milli equivalent factor of acetic acid is 0.006 gram of acetic acid. Alright, so that's why when you look at this working calculation, kita tak ada times by normality untuk second step. First step, this one is the original equation. But for second step, kita tak masukkan normality ni because this value 0.006 is already calculated together with times by 0, apa tu? The value of Milli equivalent factor for acetic acid is already calculated times by 0.1. Jadi untuk soalan macam ni, you simply masukkan value 42 milliliter times by 0.006 gram of acetic acid. Okay, divide by 3.5 times by 100. Alright, so the percentage is 7.2. Okay, so ini baru the first part untuk soalan yang you kena calculate. Okay, so untuk soalan macam ni dia kata calculate. So this one will be the first one. So you need to calculate the acidity of the vinegar. Okay, so you dah settle the first task, you already calculated for the acidity of the vinegar. Okay, and then the second question, kiranya dalam soalan yang sama, ada 2 questions sebenarnya. Sorry, not really 2, ada 3. Is the percentage of acidity calculated appropriate for the product? Okay, so macam mana nak tahu appropriate ataupun tak? Refer back to your previous slide. What is the range for acetic acid that is considered as acceptable by US FDA for the range of acetic acid in vinegar? Natural vinegar. Okay, then explain. Kiranya first task, you need to calculate the percentage of acidity. Second is whether it is appropriate or not appropriate. You need to let the reader know your value, is it according to the US FDA ataupun tak, then you need to explain. Okay, so the answer ni dia ada macam 3 point lah. Okay, so you kena bagi tahu what is the regulation. You can mention either US FDA ataupun even Ministry of Health because you already learn for your food hygiene and legislation kan. So for US FDA regulation, the vinegar, the acetic acid in vinegar should be at least, okay, minimum should be 4%. So the strength ni apa tu, acceptable ke tak acceptable?
Tak.
Acceptable.
Acceptable. Okay, it is acceptable, it is appropriate. Apa tu, because it is in compliance with the typical range of acetic acid, which is it's supposed to be in between 4 to 8%. Okay, but then, okay, kita nampak because the value is 7.2%, it is already going to 8%. So the product calculated is more acidic. Maksudnya this particular product is having more acetic acid. Maksudnya it going towards the maximum percentage of acetic acid that is allowed in natural vinegar product. Okay, so this is how you should answer. And you kena careful with the value of this particular Milli equivalent factor. So macam mana nak tahu sama ada this particular Milli equivalent factor has been given ataupun tak? the key point dekat sini tengok dia ada mention tak 0.1 normal NaOH. Okay, you kena compare dengan soalan yang tadi ni. Okay, soalan yang tadi ni dia simply bagi je, dia kata calculate the total acid of the orange juice and express in 3 different bases. Okay, dia tak cakap pun for every 1 ml of 0.1 normal of sodium hydroxide ada berapa citric acid, tak mention. Meaning that this particular milli equivalent factor of citric acid is been given meant for 1 normal of NaOH. Faham Setakat ni faham
Faham.
Madam.
Okay, great. Okay, harap you faham sebab kenapa saya nak tunjuk you calculation this one dulu supaya you boleh faham nanti untuk example for phosphoric acid, sebab dalam table yang putih tadi tu tak ada value untuk phosphoric acid. Jadi itu yang saya nak kamu faham yang ni dulu, because acetic acid ada dalam jadual, jadi senang untuk kamu nak faham okay kenapa for this particular second step of working calculation kita tak times with normality. Alright. Okay, so now kita pergi kepada example number 2. So far ada soalan tak?
Tak ada.
Okay, great. Okay, so ini adalah soalan yang sama. Kalau kamu tengok dia punya pattern adalah sama. Cuma yang berbeza adalah type of drink and type of acid. Okay, maybe this particular question dia tak minta you untuk explain. Alright, because this one is isotonic drink, tak cover dalam kamu punya lecture slide what will be the percentage of acidity that is considered as acceptable ataupun tak. Okay, the range of phosphoric acid. Okay, in the determination of titratable acidity for isotonic drink, the following data were obtained. Okay, again, the volume of sodium hydroxide is been given 5.2 ml. Okay, weight of isotonic drink is 5 gram. Okay, instead of 10 gram, this one dipakai 5 gram. Okay, so this one, if 1 ml of 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide is equivalent to 0.0049 gram. Kenapa sangat accurate ni sampai 6 decimal point? Phosphoric acid, calculate the percentage of acidity of the isotonic drink. Okay, dalam isotonic drink ada phosphoric acid. Okay, then the phosphoric acid, the milli equivalent factor for phosphoric acid in 0.1 normal NaOH is 0.0049. Kalau dalam satu normal, tulislah sekejap sini, satu normal, this one is equals to 0.049. Okay. Macam tu. Sorry lah. Okay, 0.049, this one is untuk 1 normal. Tapi dalam soalan ni dah diberi 0.1 normal of NaOH. So, working calculation sama macam vinegar tadi. Okay, yang ni pun sama juga. I tak faham kenapa dia all buat dua yang berbeza. Basically, you need to calculate the percentage of acidity. So, it carry the same meaning, right? As long as dia dah mention dekat sini 0.1 normal NaOH. Kalau dia tak mention 0.1 normal, then you nampak value dia hanya ada 0.049, meaning that one is meant for 1 normal. Okay, so the same thing goes. Alright, yang ini saya tambah untuk you all faham working step tadi. So working step sebenarnya hanya ada 1, 2, 3. Sama yang macam vinegar tadi, tapi saya tambah yang warna biru ni supaya kamu faham kenapa yang second step ni tak ada calculation of 0.1 ni. Okay, so again to calculate the percentage of acidity, kita pakai equation V times by N times by milli equivalent factor divide by Y times by 100. Okay, it is given titration untuk sodium hydroxide, the volume of sodium hydroxide kita pakai is 5.2 ml times by 0.049 grams. Okay, this one has been given. This is meant for 0.1 normal sodium hydroxide divide by 5 gram is the weight of isotonic drink that we are using times by 100. Okay, so sepatutnya kamu akan dapat jawapan 0.51% of phosphoric acid dalam isotonic drink. Okay, yang step yang warna biru yang saya tambah ni, this one is meant for if let's say the question tak bagi 0.1 normal. So you need to calculate, okay, whereby you need to add with the normality of sodium hydroxide. Sepatutnya kena ada 5.2 mil times by 0.1 times by 0.049 grams of phosphoric acid. This is the milli equivalent factor. Nampak tak this one dengan this one? The difference is a matter of 1 0 tu. Okay, it gives a big difference. Right, divide by 5 gram. So sepatutnya jawapannya adalah sama. Okay, tapi kita tak pakai yang warna biru ni sebab dalam soalan, again, refer back to your question. Okay? So itu sajalah
Okay,
nak ajar
madam.
sebenarnya. Betul dia nak ajar. Sebab nanti kalau tak, you all macam, kenapa yang ni tak times by 0.1 but this one times by 0.1. And another one, this one if let's say nanti you punya final exam ada kena explanation. So this untuk vinegar contohnya, this will be the explanation that you should give. If I'm not mistaken, dia akan ada markah lah. This one 1 markah, you bagi the equation 1 markah, 2 markah, 3 markah, then your explanation is another 2 marks or 3 marks, I'm not sure. Okay. This will be 1 point, this is 1 point, and this is 1 point. So 3 total lah. Sepatutnya, I tak tahu. Tapi I tak tahu final exam you nanti MCQ ataupun ada campur MCQ and subjective. That one I'm not so sure. Okay, so habis. Habis dah chapter 5. Okay, nak cover for that one je sebenarnya. So next week kita akan continue untuk chapter 6. Chapter 6. Because the following week you are going to have your midterm break, betul?
Betul.
Okay, so selepas kamu punya midterm break tu, you are going to have your test 1. Okay, so bacalah untuk kamu punya test untuk your chapter 1 until chapter 4 for your test 1. Okay, so ada soalan tak before we end the meeting?
No, madam.
Madam.
Okay, great. So please fill up your attendance form. Ada 2 orang missing. Ada yang dah keluar dah. Belum apa-apa lagi dah keluar dah. Okay, please fill up your attendance form after this because it's already available in your Google Classroom. And then please remind me about the announcement for your test 1 as well as for your assignment. Your video assignment.
I dah check balik and I think I salah tengok. Dekat dalam dekat dalam yang the one yang madam bagi tu dia tak ada state week berapa kena submit. So I assume it's week 14.
Okay. Jangan assume
Okay. Sama I tanya.
Kalau tak sure please ask. Don't assume.
Okay.
Nanti korang lambat hantar. Okay, so thank you for your participation. Thank you for your cooperation. Remember, please fill up your attendance form. Okay, thank you.
Bye.
You may leave.
Bye.